I'm Tim Butler, Director of Brewing Operations. I'd like to welcome Brewcast TV to Empire Brewing Company.
Alright, so I'm at Empire Brewing Company and I'm about to go down and have a tasting and an interview with Tim Butler, the head brewer here. So, going down to the dungeon here.
As Empire Brewery begins their brew day, they start by putting a pool of water into the bottom of the mash tun. Most of the strike water is mixed with the grains as it enters the MLT. Here's Tim explaining why he needs a small amount at the bottom first.
On the mash tun plates before we start adding grain. That's going to do a couple of things. It's going to give you a nice buffer on the bottom, so as the malt comes in, it's going to be floating on those plates just a little bit, and it's going to help you avoid a stuck mash.
As they start the mash process, Tim gives us a rundown of his standard mash temps.
We always start by running a few gallons of hot water through the mash tun. So it's just rinsed with some cold water, so we want to make sure that mash tun is warm. So I hit my target temperature, which generally for me is 162 to 164. We're doing a single infusion mash here. So it's just you average the temperature of your water, the temperature of your grain. When they mix together, hopefully you get your proper mash temperature.
What's the mash temperature?
I generally, for my standard ales, I shoot for about 150, 148 to 150. If I want something with a little bigger body, like the brown ale, or if I'm doing a Scotch ale or something bigger than that, I'll go up to 152 to 154. But most of my stuff is in the 148 to 150 range. I find you get really good fermentable sugars with that. The yeast is happy. The final product is nice. It ferments out. Gives you a nice dry finish, which I tend to like. If you notice, if you drink my beers and you notice my beers, most of them do have a dry finish, which is intentional. And in my opinion, if you're sipping on a beer and it finishes dry, your first response is to want to take another sip. So a drier beer is a more drinkable beer, in my opinion. Also accentuates the hop character a little bit more, which if you know anything about me and my style of brewing, I like hops as well. So.
Let's visit Dan, who's crushing the grain.
I'm Dan Martin, assistant brewer here at Empire Brewing Company. Welcome to the brewery.
As Dan feeds the crusher 50-pound sacks of grain, it is sucked up to the top of the mash tun through this vacuum tube. Once it hits the MLT, it is mixed with the remainder of the strike water to give a smooth mash with no dough balls.
Alrighty, Dan.
I like a kind of a thicker mash. I often describe it as an oatmeal-like consistency. You can see how it's kind of piling up in the middle there, and that's why I have to stand up here with the paddle and keep stirring it in. But that's a pretty good mash right there that's going on. Nice crush, nice water to grist ratio.
Now that the mash tun is full, we sit and wait for 60 minutes while conversion of the complex sugars to simpler sugars takes place. Be sure to check out episode 2 of Empire Brewery to see the Vorloff, boil, and a mid-boil tasting of Tim's brown ale that is currently aging in a wet whiskey barrel. I'm Chris Flanagan with Brewcast.tv.